Metropolitan Urban League.
How y'all doing tonight? Come on, we need some energy in this room. How are y'all doing tonight? We have some amazing guests with us tonight, and without further ado, let's get them introduced and get them in the room. Y'all ready? Oh, come on, y'all ready? Y'all ready? All right, let's go, let's go. Without further ado, coming to us, we have Miss April Ryan, who is a reporter and activist. Come on, give it up. Give it up, Wilmington. Y'all could do a little bit better than that. All right, we also have with us this evening Miss Angela Rye, who is an activist and commentator. Everybody an activist tonight. Last but certainly not least, is Miss Tamika Mallory, who is an activist. All right, so we can take your seats. We have some water up here, some mics, and we are excited to get this conversation going. What's going on, my girl?
Oh, this is on. Jennifer, will you just give me one point of personal privilege?
Absolutely.
I have the amazing opportunity. I'm good, sis. I have this. I have the amazing opportunity to sit between two of my personal sheroes, and I just want to give them, put a little more respect on their name. I know you all are here because you know exactly who they are, but sometimes we give people their flowers too late. So April Ryan is, yes. She is an award-winning author. She is the person, when you look at the White House press briefing room, she is holding down the community, the culture, the cause with her questions. Holding five, say it with me, y'all, five administrations to the carpet to ensure that they are responsive to the needs of Black people. And she does that whether we know it or not. So thank you. And Tamika Mallory. So she's like, she think I'm gonna make her cry. I'm not gonna make her cry. This is my favorite thing to say, and I know she's tired of it. So if Beyonce tells you who you need to call when the thing goes down, and it's Tamika Mallory, from Until Freedom to National Action Network to marching and protesting with her own parents, this sister has not found a cause that she won't take on, from gun violence to Black Lives Mattering, still needing to matter, to reproductive justice, to ceasefires in Palestine. This is our sister soldier of this generation. Also, an award-winning author and podcaster and extraordinary sister friend. I love you.
But wait a minute, as Angela is giving our resumes.
There you go.
Tamika, let's join it. As Angela's giving our resumes, let me tell you something. This sister comes from a bad family on the other side of the country that fought for civil rights. She was born into it. She fought into it. Then she's ascended to the highest heights. She worked in the Congressional Black Caucus on Capitol Hill. And then she left there and she said, let me start talking about what's wrong. She has talked about it. She's been about it. And one of the most recent things that people don't know, remember there was a woman in Baltimore who began the fight, among many things that she's done. And the way that she has talked to us about civics, it's not taught in schools anymore, and the way she tries to break it down to us, be it on Charlemagne, her friend's show, or on any network. But here's the thing, the latest thing, which really touched my heart. Without pay, this young lady saw an injustice over a woman in Baltimore. You heard of her. She was the woman who tried to have accountability for this young man who should have never been arrested because he looked at police and they looked him in the eye. And his name happened to be Freddie Gray. I'm from Baltimore. All right, come on, Baltimore.
Right.
So I'm from Baltimore, and that story hit hard for me. Don't talk about my city. So anyway, And I was in
All we said is she definitely is from Baltimore. That's all. That's love.
I know, and I call her Seattle. But here's the thing. I saw it from the White House. In the White House, seeing my city just go down. And then the young lady who tried to bring accountability, this is the first time we ever heard in this modern age for a city state's attorney to try to bring accountability against the police officers who actually allowed this man to die. Her name was Marilyn Mosby. Marilyn Mosby began this whole thing with police accountability. If it wasn't for her, I don't think we would have had Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd, justice for those people. This woman without pay went and said, I'm going to help Marilyn Mosby. Without pay. Marilyn Mosby she could have faced 40 years in prison. But if it weren't for Angela Rye standing behind this woman, there would have been an injustice. And for people to do this without fanfare, it's a big deal. And I appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
That's just one of the many things.
Yeah. And since we're doing all this, we done took over the
Jennifer's like,
panel.
I am moderating.
Hey, that was the first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So this is great. This is great.
So I would just say that we often don't know people's true character, right? You see folks on the outside and you know their accolades and all their accomplishments from what they want you to see, but there are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. And one of the fondest memories that I have of Angela, other than the fact that she's my sister and we're always behind the scenes, like, what we gonna do? You run first and then I'm gonna run in the door after, and what we gonna say? And I'm gonna curse this time. You don't curse this time. You be the smart one. I'm just gonna be ignorant in the room, because that's just what has
and
to
I'm
happen.
there covering it like, oh Lord.
Sometimes we gotta do it however we have to do it. But one of my fondest memories of my sister is when these folks had just maybe forgotten to add me to a program of something that I had been working on for a long time, a group that I had been a part of, you know what I'm talking about, for a long time, blood, sweat, and tears in the trenches with these folks. And for whatever reason, they were having a conference and I just wasn't on the program. But I was still gonna be there and look cute and, be in the room and ask questions and be a part of it, because it's not always about having a microphone. But Angela was like, not on my watch. They're not gonna ask me and you're not involved. And she did a bunch of work behind, I don't know what she had to say, maybe it wasn't much, but she went, and the next thing you know, they called me. She didn't even call me back. They called me and said, we have to have you on such and such day, but I knew who was responsible for that. And it was Angela, and she does that all the time for every person in her orbit. And we just thank you and love you because we know you pay attention to everything.
Yeah. And I got one last thing.
And I'm uncomfortable.
I know. I got one last thing. And it's going to be really fast. There was a time when we dreamed about a woman being a possibility as president. There was a time we dreamed about it. But Angela, along with, what do you call it, the machetes? She and a powerful group of black women who happened to be in journalism decided to, they crossed a boundary. They crossed a third rail, really. Really, they did. And they pushed it out there. And people were like, nah, we're not paying them any attention. But George Floyd happened, that transformational moment. That, on top of Senator Amy Klobuchar, made Joe Biden say, let me look at Kamala Harris. And now look where we are. Now look where we are.
47 days till we get a 47th president who makes it the first. Anyway, Jennifer is our moderator, and we would like to turn it over.
But that is the most perfect segue into this opening.
We can
question,
talk about each other
right?
a long time.
I know,
and I love it.
I can tell you about Tamika too, but that's another thing. But can you say her name? Yeah. Say her name. You know what I'm talking about? Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it were not for this sister, calling out Daniel Cameron and yeah.
Yes.
This is power right here.
Yep, absolutely.
Sisterhood power.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what you just said really goes into our next question. So 1964 Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, you have Fannie Lou Hamer giving this Is This America speech, right? 60 years later, VP Kamala Harris accepts the nomination, right, for presidency. What does it mean what does this moment mean for our country? So that's number one. But number two, what is it going to take, right? We talked about actually electing this woman, but what is it going to take? Because we have a whole lot of community activists in here, a lot of people with the boots in the grounds. The power is in this room. So we want to hear from you all. What will it take?
So can I go first, if you don't mind? Oh, thank you. What will it take, first of all, for us to walk away from preconceptions, from our biases, and to really take a clear look? I've heard Republicans. I was at the Democratic convention along with Angela and Tamika. Everybody was there. And I happened to be in a restaurant, and I heard this black man say to these white people, and there's nothing wrong, but I said, is something wrong with my being? The black man said, we need a change. And he goes down the line saying, we're in how many wars? Our economy is off. Something's wrong. And I'm saying to myself, you looking for Donald Trump? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait a minute. It's got to be deeper than that. It's deeper than that. They're not whispers anymore, shithole nations. He said Haitians are eating dogs and cats in Springfield. That is the highest office in the land where war and peace is written and spoken. And you want to talk like that as a president of the United States of America for all Americans, to include black, brown, any kind of person in this nation? We got to really take a good look, because I'm going to tell you something. He wants to extract the Constitution. You know what he wants to put in his place? His Constitution by Heritage Foundation will be Project 2025. That's going to be the new Constitution. He will not leave. He will not leave. January 6th was not myth or conjecture. It was fact. Every attack that they made against all of us was actionable that day. Imagine if Nancy Pelosi, if Mike Pence was hung, this nation, we would not be here in this room today. What's at stake? It's the most personal thing, your pocketbook. During COVID, we had a supply chain clinks, whatever they are. You couldn't, your grits were higher. The cost of grits, the cost of milk, the cost of bread. You were wondering, why don't I have almonds in my butter pecan, or pecans in my butter pecan? Yeah. I actually noticed it. I went to the store and I said, this is a lot of ice cream and not that many nuts. That's real. Supply chain.
Yeah. You said not the flavor. You just giving me the flavor. I need the pecans.
We're paying more for less. The price of housing is up. Price gouging is still going on. Look, in the black community, I still live in the black community. I live in Baltimore. And our gas prices are still way too damn high, when other people still are seeing reductions. What happens if he's president? What happens if there's another COVID? You know, what happens? Think about who would be able to handle it. That's all I'm gonna say.
You know, we were on the stage at the DNC, at the Democratic National Convention. We did our podcast there live every day. Native Land Pod, which I do with Tiffany Cross, thank you, and Andrew Gillum. And one of my favorite moments from that podcast, and I think it'll probably go down in history as one of my favorite moments in life, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, who became Secretary of HUD under Joe Biden, a former president. There's a lot of deltas in here, so a former president of Delta Sigma Theta. Y'all, this is real.
All right,
serious.
we got to get to the AKAs. I know.
No, that's the AKA. That's the AK.
Okay.
That's the AK.
Okay.
It's all the colors and signs are welcome. I'm black. I'm not Greek. But back to my point. So, the thing that was my favorite moment. She's also a chair of Kamala's campaign. I'm saying Kamala as much as I can until these fools get it right. So that's actually the highest respect. When Miss Fudge was on, Charlemagne asked her what made Kamala's campaign in 2024 different from Hillary Clinton in 2016. And Congresswoman Fudge looked at him with this conviction, and she said, "She is mine." And just like this moment now, like we all had goosebumps. I was like, oh, we got to cut that for social. Why am I bringing that up? This country is something that we've said is ours when it didn't possess us back, when it didn't give us the respect that we deserve in preserving democracy. In the very first war, a black man died first to preserve a thing that he didn't even hold on to, just the idea of freedom. And so as we go into this election, where yes, we are tired, yes, we are undone with being unrecognized, unpaid, disrespected, overworked, buying butter pecan ice cream with no pecans, or almonds if you let Baltimore tell it. Right? Like whatever it is, know that everything is on the line. Am I tired of hearing that everything is on the line? Yes, but also I'm extra tired of everything being on the line. And so we have to decide that she is ours, that democracy is ours, that freedom is ours, that liberation is ours. Like all of those things are our birthright. We are worthy of those things. And also, none of them come without a fight. This is going to be the most difficult election of our lifetimes because it probably won't be decided on election night. Because we're probably going to have to fight to demonstrate that she actually won. And she will not actually win if y'all don't go home. If we don't go home, I'm putting myself in this, if we don't go home and tell our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our friends, that all that macho nonsense and he could say whatever he wanted and he's tough, but he was up on the debate stage sounding like Boo Boo the Fool up against this prosecutor. We actually need to think about how we want to be reflected on the world stage. Who we trust at the presidential podium to answer April Ryan's questions. Who we trust to sit down and negotiate with Tamika Mallory when she has a cause that we all care very deeply about. What do you think Donald Trump is going to do in response to Gaza? Ain't gonna be no damn Gaza. Now it's already dissipating. These folks' lives matter too. But we have Gazas in our own streets, in our own neighborhoods. He doesn't care about us. Now I know that there are a lot of people that say, and I haven't seen a party that we've spent so much of our energy, time, resource, talents with care about us enough either. But I would at least rather have a seat at the table to get them there, to be heard. It's not enough for me either. The thing that April was talking about, we did an op-ed and a visual op-ed that said there are 3 things Joe Biden owes us. It was a black woman VP, a black woman Supreme Court justice, and a black agenda. And we are still woefully lacking on the latter, but I'm gonna tell you what I don't want is a Donald Trump version of a black agenda. So I am tired of incremental politics. I am. Like if y'all listen to us at all, I am very tired of it. And also, what I don't want more than incremental progress is a fast decline in the other direction. And y'all know from our voting rights to our reproductive rights to everything, affirmative action, when we tell them, fine, y'all have your own stuff, we'll just take this over here and create our own. Then they sue us for that, Fearless Fund. Right? So on every side, I'm tired, and yet we have to continue fighting for progress. I want it to come faster, but I definitely don't want to go in the wrong way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that April and Angela have sort of laid out the why and what this moment means. And you said, how are we going to get there? And so I want to be real technical because that's what I do. I organize people every day. So y'all look real good. Y'all look like y'all got a little bit of money in this room. I smell it. It's over there. This little lime shirt over there look like a little bit. I smell it. It's in here. I smell it, right? And I am not saying in any way that Delaware does not count because it does, right? Every single state, every single city, every single vote will count in this election because it needs to be overwhelming. We need to, what they say, wipe the floor with it. So there's no question of whether or not she won. But the reason why I brought up the money piece is because I need you to do one of 2 things. I need you to pack your SHIT and get in the cars and on the plane and find out what Until Freedom and other organizers are doing around the country and hit up the states that actually will make the deciding votes on whether or not she wins, right? So we know Michigan, come on, Angela,
They can drive down the street.
Pennsylvania.
drive to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, well,
Georgia,
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Georgia
Definitely
is back in the mix here, right?
Yeah.
And so
Wisconsin.
right.
major.
And we said Michigan, right? Because that is where help is needed immediately, right? We have to knock on every single door that we can. We need to knock on doors until our knuckles are tired. When election night is said and done and the last votes are being cast, you need to be able to say that either you were out there and you did your part, or you sent your little bit of change, your little bit of money to organizations that do grassroots work, that are out there in the community as credible messengers with our people. There are many organizations that's getting money. Don't trust me. They're getting money. And I'm talking about folks that don't really look like us, who have put a line item in their budgets or in their proposals to the DNC and the so-and-sos, all the money people, saying that they will do black outreach. But no one knows who they are. When they knock on the door, they do not have the ability to reach Ray Ray and Keisha and speak to them from a particular perspective, where they know you look like me, you sound like me, and I trust you. I believe you. This is not about just putting a door handle on the knob and saying that we will check the box to say we hit this area, because that's what these folks do. They put a little door handle on, they say we hit this area, and that means that every year they are able to count those areas as a part of their proposal for how they continue to get money. That does not mean that they sat in the backyard with 20 people who include young black men that may have very serious questions that should not just be disregarded and, oh, well, who cares? You just want Trump. Nah, this is not I just want Trump. These people want progress. They want change. They want a difference, and they want to see it and feel it and smell it. And you need to be able to articulate to them why this moment is important, right? And so we've got to either do it ourselves or help pay for those who will actually go and do the work. Because let me tell you, small grassroots organizations are struggling, and we always do, to get access to the money that we need to get real operations on the ground where we can flew you out and bring you with us to, and I don't mean like that, but you know what I'm saying. Pay your ticket to get you on a bus, to get you with us. Like, it literally happens that way. We recruit in a room like this. There's 10 people in here that say, listen, we're willing to go to Michigan and stay for 2 weeks. And the next thing you know, we're able to put you up. Well, how can you get there with no plane ticket? Where you going to sleep? How you going to eat? It costs money. Stop allowing people to tell you that the black folks that's organizing are either stealing or doing some misappropriating funds, or this corrupt, or they don't need the money, because we need the same resources that the white folks have to do the work that they claim they're doing. So these are real technical pieces, because we can all sit in our houses and yell and throw shoes at the TV and watch the podcast. And I have mine, TMI, where we talk about this every single week. So we want you to listen. But when you turn off your TV, your telephone, put your social media down, we actually have to put the boot on the foot and go out into our community and bring our people to the polls. So from my perspective, that's what I plan to be doing. And what I do is I listen to these two sisters and steal their words and go take it with me to the streets and act like I said it.
Listen, Tamika, I knew I really loved you, because when you talked about that, I'm the president and CEO of the Urban League here in Wilmington, and we have a voting campaign called Reclaim Your Vote. So www.mwul.org, and we are accepting donations because we are doing that grassroots work, right? And I also want to shout out my sis over there in the green shirt, everyone who loves the green shirt, Ashley Christopher, who has HBCU work,
right,
who is cultivating spaces where everyday people are coming, and we're able to give out voting information and also being able to sign up voters. I wasn't going to say your name.
I knew it was Ashley over there. That's why I picked on her, but I wasn't going to put her name, the money, and
we
the
love
shirt
your shirt
together.
Well, no, Yeah. I wasn't
We
gonna do
love
that,
your
but-
chartreuse shirt.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But she does a phenomenal job with HBCU Week, and it's all these different places where we can cultivate that environment, right? And you're right, it's the grassroots. So let's move on to another question that I had. And so the rapper Plies, a couple of weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago, on the Breakfast Club, and I'm going to paraphrase what he said because my questions just disappeared out of my. Yeah, he wasn't on the breakfast. It was a phone call. That's what it was. It was a phone call. Excuse me. And he said, you know, I'm really sick and tired of having black women having to be explained for things that white men don't have to be explained for, right? And so when we hear that statement, exactly, let's talk a little bit more about it because it's also another part of this election that we know, and I think you touched on it. Well, what do we talk about? What does it take? But let's get down deeper into it. What are some of the themes that are going on in this election?
Well, what happened was he said it on his live, and then on the Breakfast Club, we discussed it because he said that she shouldn't have to answer to you with your questioning, right? And so when I was on the Breakfast Club talking to our dear brother, Charlemagne, who felt otherwise, which is good because we need that discourse, right? We don't all have to agree on anything, but we just all have to agree on where we're going as a people. Let me just tell y'all this quick little story that I tell all the time to get people to understand how I work with folks that I don't necessarily like. I was watching a documentary once, and it's all gonna come together, but I was watching this documentary once, and it is called King in the Wilderness. It is about the final days of Dr. King's life. He knew he was gonna die. He could feel it, and you could see it on him. It was dark. These were days when he didn't know where it was coming from, but he knew something really, really bad was going to happen. And so they're taking you through some of the last things that he did. And he's in a march one day. Now, you know, a big part of his life was having to work with other black folks who consistently challenged him on how strong he was, how progressive he might be or not, or what he was saying when he went in the room. And some even called him a sellout. They called, you know, his ideology around nonviolence weak. And so he's marching one day with Stokely Carmichael. And as they're in this march, two people, they're walking together, there's a bunch of folks around, there's a reporter who is talking to Dr. King, and the reporter's asking him, what do you think? What's the direction that we have to go in? How do you think, what's the road towards freedom? And Dr. King does a whole thing on nonviolence not being passive, but it is actually aggressive. And he, you know, talks about the fight and the struggle and what he believes is the path forward. Then the reporter goes over to Stokely Carmichael. Now, Dr. King has just said all of this great stuff about nonviolence and, you know, we can't go out here trying to throw a rock because they're going to kill us and our children and our families, and there's a better way for us to go about it and the discipline that we need. And they turn to Stokely Carmichael and say, so what do you think? And now, I am not suggesting that we do any of what he said. I'm just telling y'all what happened in the documentary. Stokely Carmichael said we need to tear this whole thing down, burn the whole damn thing down. And what stunned me and really kind of just, it helped me so much with the conflict that I have myself when I'm walking in marches and in environments, April, where to the left and right of me are people who might be saying F the police, which is not really that's not me. That's not my thing, right? And then I might have people, you know, they saying KKK this over here. And then over here, I got folks that's like, no, you know, we don't need to do that. And they want to have respectability politics, and that's not really me either. How do we all stay together? And when I watched this, I realized that these are two men that have two different approaches, but they are at the same march at the same time, walking in the same direction, and they're fighting for the same cause. So I just want to make sure to put that out there so we understand that every time we hear someone disagreeing, it doesn't mean everything is in disarray and just throw the whole baby out with the bathwater, right? So Plies said that he does not believe people should be questioning her and she should not have to answer questions. So when I was asked on the Breakfast Club how I felt about his statement, I said, I understand what he's saying, and I also understand where Charlemagne's position was, we need to question every damn body. black woman, black man, green party, whoever you are. Green party too, I saw that. You know what I'm saying?
Don't tap me for the green party.
No, but I'm saying you was questioning them.
Had some questions.
Right? And you got some questions.
Didn't get answers.
And we should be able to ask those questions because everybody else is asking questions. Everybody else is asking questions. But what I believe Plies was saying is that it is disingenuous, the questions that some people are asking and the ways in which they are going about it. For her to have to answer whether or not she's black, I promise y'all, if I was Kamala Harris, I would never answer that. I would never answer it. But I know she's done it.
When did she turn black?
No.
Right, when did she turn
I wish
black?
that she would answer it
She
one
did,
time.
kinda.
No, but not kinda. Just like straight up be like, I am never going to let a white supremacist
Right.
question my race. The people who know me know that I was born black, I'm still black now, and I'll always be black, and then be done. The reason why I'm using that, Andrew debate prep. That's exactly what we did at Andrew Gillum's debate prep. It worked, it went viral, we moved on. That was never brought up
Here's the
again.
thing, here's the thing, but wait a minute. She's like Barack Obama. The first thing that shows up is her color. She's a brown woman. That's the first thing you see. And then her gender. And she's already disqualified and dismissed in the minds of mainstream. They say, oh, I don't know her. You know who she is. You dismissed her because she's a black woman. Let's go there. Right. We've read the book. We've read the book on Donald Trump. We know who he is. People know who she is. But they just chose race. Race is in everything. And don't you ever believe it's not.
But that's exactly my point.
Yeah, she doesn't have to come on.
I think she did,
because
but
race
she
and
did it
politics
the-
will always follow her. She does not have to say, I'm a black woman, I'm a Southeast Asian woman. Because if she did that at the debate, it would have took the thing the whole other way. And if she did it at the DNC, oh yes,
She could have done it in the interview with Dana, which also...
I thought she should have done it there.
That's what I'm saying. She said, next question, please. And for me, again, this is someone who is a sister to me. I just want her to shut it down because there's a way, I know her, that she can answer it.
Oh,
It'll
she's a
never
tough-
come up again. Like,
Yeah,
let's
but
be clear.
No, but they will. It will, and that's the problem. I'm going back to Barack
No.
Obama. This is one of the reasons why Barack
Her
Obama.
and Barack Obama are not the same.
Yes,
And
wait,
it's
hold on.
That was
Wait a minute,
2008, and this is
no.
2024.
Listen to me. They are the same. Race and politics always will follow him. Race and politics will always follow her. And gender. Why bring up the obvious? Let's move on. It could be a diversion or distraction. You see who she is. You read her policies. Move on and let's deal with the issue.
You know why? Let me tell you why. It's a diversion and a distraction because they keep bringing it up. That didn't have to be in Dana's questions. That should have not have come up in the debate. They want to do that. And so what
First
you
of
do,
all, CNN is on this conservative track now.
whatever.
Let's do that.
But she did
CNN is
do
on a
it,
conservative track.
but
We know
that
what
was
they
also
trying to
the
do.
ABC.
But I want
ABC
to make
did that
sure
too.
to say that she did do it in her own way the other night when she was talking to 3 young black men, right? So she gave black folks an answer that she may not have given to the white people who were trying to put her in this trick bag. But when she was speaking to 3 young black men and they asked her about the black male vote, she said they don't deserve my vote just because I'm black. So she was affirming in that moment that I am black, but I refuse to explain it to white folks, but I will say it to my own kind.
Okay, I hear that, and I respect that. I didn't hear that answer. I'm just going to say this. I think it is important for us to understand that we know her, and she is familiar to us. There are a lot of people who don't know her. If you look at those poll numbers, they make me uncomfortable, and there are some folks among the poll numbers who don't want to know her. She needs to get right in their faces too. This is the time in the campaign. I would actually argue that we're late. 47 days left for her to make, like,
Of
allow
course
me.
we're late.
No,
She just got in. How many months? About a month or so ago?
I know. I'm not faulting.
I know
I'm
what
not
you said. I know what
faulting
you're
her
saying.
for where we are. I'm saying she's got to work triple, quadruple time to demonstrate. Like none. Like you got to be on unfriendly territory, in rooms that make you uncomfortable, on networks that make you uncomfortable, to say exactly who you are. She don't have no problem with
For me as a journalist, and I'm just going to say this from this unique perch that I've been blessed to sit in for 27 years, almost 28, the longest serving black woman in the history of that White House. And won't give up, can't give up. But it reminds me, this moment reminds me, and I keep going back to, for me, it reminds me of Barack Obama. Remember when Trayvon Martin was killed by that Zimmerman?
Telephone.
There you go. When he said Trayvon could have been my son, and my colleagues, my mainstream colleagues, what did he mean? I'm like, what the hell do you think he meant?
But
I'm like, and that was just the obvious. We did not have to explain to people. There is an existence in Black America that people don't get outside. Watching this, people go, oh, wow. Or watching the thing tonight with Oprah and Win with Black Women, Win with Black Men. A lot of people don't. Mainstream America doesn't have to know about our existence. We have to know about theirs.
They got to know about hers, otherwise she can't
And that's
win.
what I'm saying. But they ask, like, why? We have to show them who we are at all times. I'm not wearing a mask. Show up authentically. Yeah, I mean,
but and this is the thing that I just by a show of hands, y'all. If Barack Hussein Obama was running today, show of hands, who thinks he would win? Oh, okay. Like today, in 2024, do you think Barack Obama could win this? No. But you said they're the same. So I just want to ask.
Okay, let me specify, Miss Lawyer, for the attorney. When I say they're the same, I mean for the historic nature of these Black people who are rising to the highest office in the land in a white male-dominated industry.
She is more qualified than he was.
Yes, she is.
She is.
She's more qualified than Trump would ever be.
I'm not even comparing.
She's more qualified than half the presidents,
I want to be
Black or white.
I'm clear about that.
Yes.
I'm trying to make the point that Kamala Harris should be more well known off of sheer qualifications and what she's accomplished.
But she had to, as a Black woman, next to a legendary white man who was older, she could not upstage anything she did. I know.
This is not me attacking her. I'm just trying to make a point. Like, we know that she had to shrink in that White House. She's not going to say that. I'm telling you. She had to shrink in that White House because she was intimidating to the person who led the office. I know we're in his hometown. I know y'all love your president. I'm just telling you that's the truth. That's good. But I'm just telling you that's the truth. It'll make us uncomfortable, but it's the truth. So I'm just saying, when you go home, there were a lot of hands because y'all love Barack Hussein Obama. I understand. You would vote for him again. Okay, that's great. I want you to go home and think about, no, I'm serious. I want you to go home and think about his posture on police reform, his posture on justice reform, his posture on trade. Not just would we vote for him, would he win?
21st century policing, and that was what was up when Tim Scott threw it down. But wait a minute, hold on.
That was
No, they put 21st century policing in front of him. He shot it down. And then they gave him back Donald Trump, what Donald Trump offered. He shot that down too. But I'm gonna say this to you. Yeah, no, Barack Obama did 21st century policing with all the police, because there was a trail of police deaths during that time. Michael Brown, George Floyd, yeah. So, but here's the thing, Trayvon, but here's the thing that you're missing too. In this moment, and see, we have to understand, this is why it's important for us to read and research and not just listen to those entertainment networks, okay? So, well, you have to know what to trust in social media as well, which ones to trust. We are not going to get police reform. Even if Kamala Harris does win, the Senate may not be Democratic. We are not going to get police reform in this moment. And we're going to have this one over here marching till freedom, forever. And this one over here is going to be pushing. We're not getting it. But I'm going to tell you, don't expect a silver bullet if Kamala Harris becomes president. It's not going to happen because they're not going to have the Senate. Police, we've been having this policing. I'm not. That's not a foregone conclusion to me. I think it's a tough battle. My point here is I want to go back to this Barack versus Kamala thing because I think it's important. I think that we have to understand when we started this, I started talking about she's mine. We know her. There's a familiarity because that's what Black folks do. That's not what they do. So we have to be clear about what her platform is. It's not that different from the guy they were ready to support. It's much better than this other guy who's dangerous, who actually is coming for your homes, your dollars, your farms, regardless of where you live, rural or urban. You have a whole other battle. She is the most competitive candidate that he's ever run against. That is the truth.
We should be talking about qualifications. And on top of that, she's assistant. All we know how is to get stuff done. We should be saying that. I personally, if you can't tell, don't know that Barack Obama would win today if he ran. He was very moderate. There are some folks who would say moderates are the only way. They had Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a more progressive president when you look at his record than Barack Obama. That's why I'm asking you to really think about that. That doesn't mean that I don't miss those moments when I got to see Barack and Michelle, right? Like, she even closed down the convention. Like, that was the closing speech. She killed it. I'm just saying, I want y'all to think about that. Journal
But you
on it when
also
you go
forced, you all also forced Joe Biden to be more progressive too. I mean, think about it. He wasn't too happy with student loans at first, and then he moved into where we are. He was not, let me tell you, during the Barack Obama administration, many organizations, to include the Urban League and to include Melanie Campbell Brown, they were pushing for a black Supreme Court justice during the Obama years. Biden heard that. And now we have who? Ketanji Brown Jackson.
And Kristen Clark as the head of the Civil Rights Division. I mean,
Yes,
you know, a lot of
yes.
And more black women judges in history appointed.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had talked to someone around that time when y'all were pushing for a black vice president, and someone who told me who knows him said he never promised beyond a black Supreme Court justice, and it was very surprising that he went to a black woman as a vice president.
Oh, he didn't have no choice.
He didn't have, right, James Clyburn, but
It wasn't just Mr. Clyburn.
right, right. It wasn't just, but he was forced into that moment.
Let me shout out one person here. This is important. Oh, sorry. So I want to shout out one of y'all's homegirls who was actually on the vetting committee to pick the vice president, who was running for the United States Senate, who will be the first black woman in the United States Senate from Delaware, Lisa Blunt Rochester. So there are a lot of people that don't get the accolades and the praise who were doing a lot of that work too. That's not to poo-poo Mr. Clyburn. I love him. But there are a lot of folks who were working behind the scenes to get this to happen. Now, if it were up to some of these folks who were leadership, and I'm not talking about Mr. Clyburn, but Kamala Harris wouldn't be at the top of the ticket. So, let's be clear about what we're up against. We're still fighting the people who thought she shouldn't even be here, that there should be an open convention.
And these are people who you love,
Nancy
that
Pelosi,
were a part of pushing
Gavin Newsom
in the opposite direction.
It was more than
them all.
Pelosi.
President Obama wasn't too sure either.
Barack Obama was not on the.
And we started being like, y'all try it if you want to. Like, that's really literally what happened. It's not, I'm not just saying that in it really was. If you go back and look at before she was actually endorsed, you will see, just look at my social media, look at Angela's, Latasha Brown, and some other black women that you follow, and black men, Roland Martin, a few people, you will notice that we all started posting little messages like, F around and find out.
You're on a fat mission,
that's how we got to where we were on that Sunday morning. I mean,
I posted a crazy post on Sunday morning.
I know, you had to go. Yes.
I was like, you gonna drop out, but you ain't. Yeah, it was hair.
I was watching.
That's what we doing. Hair was all over my head.
I was watching. I was like,
oh
my
God. Give him 5 minutes. I was like, he got 5 seconds.
I was really shocked that y'all went that far.
Oh, I was hot.
I know. I was
he posted it on Twitter. I'll take it. And again, I know that we're in his home.
So that brings me to my next question, right? All of you are truth bringers, right? And Angela, truth bringer in chief. And so what is the price, right, of speaking truth to power? What is the price? Like, we don't talk about that. We see the Instagrams, we see the the YouTubes, we see the podcasts. But what is the price?
Because I know we've done gone off 18 different tangents, but this is what ADD will do for you too.
This is a great conversation. Don't apologize.
We cannot focus well. We got lots of thoughts. Quickly, I will say death threats. I will say it comes with being misunderstood. People don't always understand your intention or your approach. Right? And so I think I can be very, perceived as aggressive, and I'm just passionate. It's not even like, I'm not even mad at you. I'm just getting loud because I grew up with a daddy and a granddaddy playing dominoes with them, right? Like, it's not even no beef. I'm just like, nah, that's not what happened. That's how we got to Baltimore and Seattle. Like, we battling, but we not really battling. We just getting loud. But yeah.
Yeah, there is a heavy price, and I have paid it. I have paid it. When I didn't want to post this flyer because one of the things that happens to me is that when I post things, the next thing you know, I get a call like, oh, they've got to cancel. They've got people who are going to protest it, or a big funder has said that they will not continue to support blah, blah organization or the school or whatever if Tamika Mallory shows up. So I was like, I don't think we should post it until like I'm on the train. Like, first of all, send the deposit. No, I'm just joking.
No, and then they had the nerve to delay the train. They delayed her train.
And then the train was, and I'm like, see, the devil, no. But so that is a price that I pay. And even today, there's some people in my comment section cussing you out about something. I don't even know what it is, but I saw your name and I didn't have time to deal with it. I'm gonna go in there and cuss them back. Don't worry. Oh no, I do that. Oh, I do that. But it is a heavy price. Angela said that we are often misunderstood, and so the way that people will describe me as like some hater of others, or I want to see people dead or whatever. I mean, they make up the most elaborate stories about the hate in my heart, but I've never been taught hate. And in fact, the way that I learned what they were even talking about, like, because I didn't even understand it. Like when they were like, oh, Tamika hates XYZ group of people, I'm like, huh, how, I don't get it. And I had to be caught up quickly. And the reason why it was foreign to me was because it had never been taught in my household, right? Like I had never in my household had parents to sit down and say to me, oh, those so-and-so people, they ain't no good, or we don't like them, because that's never, ever, ever, ever that's not who they are, still to this day. But what they were all the way about black people. So we were everywhere all the time, where any kind of black person would be that's talking about empowerment and how to make our lives better. And that for me has always been sort of the guiding light for my life. And so again, I find myself sometimes in places where I might be a little uncomfortable. It might not be exactly what I'm down with, but I realize that I can contribute to the room and also learn something from other people that come from different perspectives. And it is difficult when you are trying to be with and about black folks, and then other communities think they can tell you who you can like, who you can stand with, who you can talk to, who can be your friend. Why, and I often say to people, my son's father was killed, I don't know, it's been a long time now, 20-something years ago. And I went to court and was a part of this trial for these men who were responsible, 2 black men. They were responsible for killing him. But I never went back. Like the family, they write letters to, every time parole or probation comes up, and they go up to the board, they write letters and they all say, well, we don't want them to get out because this is all that has been done and how it has impacted the lives of his children and so on and so forth. And I've never participated in that, because I literally have sat across from killers, right? And that's the work that I do. I'm on both sides of the gun. I work with people who are the shooters and the victim of these incidents. And so even though what they took from me was something that is irreplaceable, I still understand that them sitting in jail for the rest of till forevermore is not going to solve the problem of why they killed my son's father. And so that doesn't mean that I'm telling people don't go to the hearings and express your family's perspective. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that as a leader, I felt like I had to find in me not a place of even forgiveness, but a place of understanding. And through that, I would hope that other people would understand me, but it's not always the way that it works. And so the price is high and it hurts. I don't want to sit here and give people the impression that because we look cute, that April's over there looking cute in her cute new dress, that it doesn't hurt when people call you out your name, threaten your life, talked bad to your family members. My sister comes to me all the time like, wow, there's these blogs. They're saying crazy things about you because on her job, she works in a hospital, people come up to her all the time like, your sister's Tamika Mallory. Damn, she stole the money from so-and-so place and she did this and she did that. And my sister's like, that didn't happen. Why are they saying these things about you? But that's just, and guess what, y'all? Sometimes it's people who look like me.
Get on this or
the price is very high. I didn't pay like Tamika, but the pain is still great. Every Wednesday morning, and I was just telling this to someone earlier, every Wednesday morning I sit on a call with my therapist because the residue is still so great.
yeah.
I've covered 5 presidents. One of them, 5 presidents have called me by name except for one. He's called me some other names that have been out in public. Yeah, you saw it. I felt it. I saw it, and I felt it. You ready to fight for me? Thank you. Thank you. But to have, I can't help but think about those ladies in Georgia, those poll workers, and how they've sued Rudy Giuliani. And they weren't in politics. They were trying to help the process move forward, being patriotic. To help people vote and count ballots and things of that nature. And Trump put their name in his mouth. And they were in tears and they were like, I can't go outside. Think about somebody you see every day on TV and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas. I didn't say that. You did, okay, okay. The governor of Arkansas said the stupidest question, and I'd wind up being on Fox News, the stupidest question ever, and everybody would troll me. I'd had people waiting for me outside the White House. People would come to my house, sitting at my house. I got a Caesar Sayok bomb at my house. The FBI has had to come to my home. All being a single mother trying to protect my 2 little girls. I've had to move. And the irony of this, and I mean, I've told Angela and Tamika, they all know this stuff. I walk freer today because I'm a patriot too. I've done nothing wrong. But the irony of this is we talk about that debate, which is crazy. I'm a black journalist. I'm a race baiter. No, I'm not. I love people, but I am a black woman who loves her people and understand we are a community with the highest numbers of negatives. And I'm going to ask the highest office in the land, no matter whether he's black, white, Jew, Gentile, Protestant, or Catholic. What are you going to do? That's what I'm going to do. But there are people out here who don't want us to rise, don't want us on an equal level, and I understand that. So therefore, at the debate last Tuesday up the road in Philadelphia.
Yep. Constitution Center.
Yeah, I was there. A certain person who was in the debate didn't feel comfortable about his performance. So he comes out trying to change the narrative. In the smack dab in the middle of the room, and I couldn't get through, and people didn't know. I was like, can I get this? We all trying to get through. I'm like, okay. So I take my little self and get between people and I'm not going to fall out the chair. Scoot between people and get right in front of them. After all of this stuff that he's done to me and said about me, he sees me and smiles. I said, what the heck? I'm like, we are not friends. He saw a familiar face, but what you did to me. What? They're not like us, okay. So I got it. But I'm telling the story. So anyway, I said, Mr. President, what do you think black people saw tonight? I love black people. I love black people. They love me too. Sir, what about black men? He just ignored me. Right after he talked about black folks, black migrants who are in our community eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio, the effects of covering racism in the highest office in the land is debilitating. It's debilitating, it's dangerous, and it's deadly. We have all been threatened, and everybody said, oh, they're just trying to intimidate you. Let me tell you something, I gotta stand up on this. January 6th was not intimidation. It was actionable. And one of those guys who was convicted. His name is Brian Strucker. He met me at Politicon in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had to pull me off the stage. He was one of those convicted on January 6th. So let me tell you something, those threats are real. And every time we go out, I have trauma. I'm acute and chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. When I come into rooms like this, I scan the crowd.
Yeah.
I scan to make sure who's friend or foe, because you can tell by the body language. And trust me, don't think you're going to come and attack us. You know, you might see us on TV, but I'm going to say one thing to you. We are human beings too, and we have to defend ourselves if we have to. So here's what I'm going to say. Trust and believe this election is personal for each and every one of us. It's personal for you, because as we are standing here and sitting here, you see us looking cute, but we got stories to tell. Oh, stop. We got stories to tell, and those stories could wind up being changed to you. As they mess with us, they're messing with you. Trust and believe. Immigrate. I don't know how many of you come from migrant families. I don't know how many of you who have people in the LGBTQ plus community. Black issues, housing, education. What is it, the miseducation of the Negro? We ain't never been educated, and they trying to take education away from us now? I'm just going to say this. Don't be the victim, be the victor. Get in here and do the process and work.
There you go. And on that part, let the church say amen. Amen. I think, do we have time for a couple of audience questions? Four audience questions. All right, so who has the question? Baby girl, right here. Right there. Sis in the back. Anyone else? We got one more. My sis in the yellow, right there in the front. Yep. Oh, and then, yeah. And we do need.
Hi, so nice to see all you ladies. I'm Tiana Sermons. I know all of you actually. So one thing that I'm like very passionate about, especially hearing you guys speak, is that even though I have 4 years, which is the next election, before I'm able to vote, personally, being 14, I'm still also very scared for the upcoming election, just because of the possibilities, what that could mean for me, what that could mean for my generation. Can you just talk to me about being able to get the younger generation aware into, tuning into politics, really being able to use our platform, in a sense, of social media to be able to promote the message and really go out and vote and make sure that we have a good future?
I think we should be, just because of time, do one answer per. So do you want to?
No, y'all going.
That first of all, thank you. It's good to see you. I think that it is really important for young folks to know that even if they can't cast a ballot, they still have a voice. You can't cast a vote, you still have a voice. There are folks who are just 4 years older than you who can cast a vote. There's been a lot of conversation about the Sandy Hook kids who will be voting in their first election right now, and they're very clear about where they stand. I think that there are things that you can do online, which you already do. You can inform folks about the facts, fact check more, because misinformation travels so much quicker online than truth does. I think that you can challenge us when we're not doing enough, or when you think there's a blind spot that we have, or we can sharpen our answers or be clearer. And I also think that you can move folks to the polls on your behalf. What are the top 3 issues you want folks to vote for your future, for your generation, for your present? And I think that is really the most important thing you can do, continuing to use your platform for good and motivating people to do something really important in just 47 days.
Just remember that online is not the end-all, be-all, right? Online is one forum that you can use to get a message out. But just like I was saying, that we have to knock on doors and be out in the community, the same applies for you and your generation, that a lot of young folks might just want to hold space, right? Make it fun, figure out how to raise some money for a little bit of pizza, free pizza and conversation on Tuesdays, and get people that. And that's how I was raised. Like, I was literally raised as a youth organizer, and that's what we had to do. We didn't have online. And I believe we were actually more effective when I was younger as an organizer than sometimes we are today, right? I still believe in door-to-door grassroots work. I still believe in cutting through the noise of the TV and the internet and going directly to people and having conversations, because what I find is that a lot of people will not write their comment online because they don't want to be attacked, and they also don't want to sound stupid, like they don't know, right? And to me, it's not stupid, because I'll quickly say, I do not understand, and text everybody asking explain this to me. But people don't like to necessarily associate their name with politics or with things that they don't understand. But it's easier if you're standing in someone's face and they ask a question or they don't know, or you can see in their eyes that they didn't get it, and you can drill down. So remember to be in space with people and not allow the internet to break us into silos.
Right. Great job. Okay, and for the sake of time, if only one could answer.
Oh, sorry.
Tamika, you're the one that has to sign the books. How you doing on time? Tamika, how you doing on time with signing the books? You doing okay?
I'm fine.
You fine? Okay. Well, if you two feel the need three feel the need, yeah, okay.
Okay, so y'all are some soul-serving sisters up here tonight. So thank you. So I have so much anxiety, specifically, like most everyone in this room, but my anxiety really sits with our brothers who's saying that they are not going to vote, or they're going to vote for Trump. And I don't know how to get to them in my circle. I don't know how to get to them. They're educated in my world, making money in my world. I don't understand it, and it's just causing such anxiety. Can you give me some food to take back to feed them?
Are you from Delaware?
Oh, no. I'm from Florida, South Florida. I'm in the worst state ever.
So do you ask them why? Okay.
Two.
Do you ask them why they are either not voting or voting for Trump? And do you offer them information when you talk to them? Because I think a lot of us, for lack of knowledge, go into a whole bunch of little rabbit holes that we shouldn't be dabbling in. Go ahead, what were you saying? What, that stimulus check that Donald Trump signed his name to?
No. Can I just answer this? Because first of all, I was night before last, in Detroit on a panel with like Pusha T, Killer Mike, Freeway, a bunch of people, Benzine, a whole bunch of folks, rappers and black men. And on this panel, never once did police brutality or criminal justice or anything like that come up. They talked about economics the entire time. I took note of it. Pastor Mike McBride, who's there with me, we talked about it later on, and he said that black men do not want the only conversation. They believe in aspiration as well, right? They don't want the only conversation to be about the worst thing that happens to them being shot down. They want to talk about their dreams, just like we want a black Supreme Court justice. They want that as well, a black man. Just like they want, black men in different positions of power. Just like we want black women in positions of power, they want black men to be in those positions as well, and black men who look like them. I just want to make sure that you take with you this particular premise, because it has been helping me. I was extremely frustrated as well until I talked to enough black men to understand that the Democratic Party has done a poor job of courting black men and making them feel a part of what is happening over there, right? They see a different type of black man. They see black men who are politically correct. They see black men who are politically connected, or they have money, they have access. They see, in some cases, black men who may be of the LGBTQIA community. They do not see themselves. They do not see themselves. And it's true. And all of those groups that I named should be there, should have a place, but the super of a building needs to also have a place. The FedEx guy, right? The sanitation worker needs to have a place as well. And they have lost a little bit of that in their desire to be intersectional and to make sure that they protect and bring in different communities. Some communities feel lost and don't feel like they have a place. So when you are speaking to black men, acknowledging that this is not something that is manufactured or some weird thing that they came up with where they just are going with the conspiracy theory, they are looking for an alternative that allows them to feel like they have some level of self-respect and self-determination as well. And when we acknowledge that, we are able to open up lines of communication that digs deeper into, well, how do we get there together without allowing women to lose our rights to our bodily autonomy at the same time while you're trying to get to the bag? How do we do this together? But when we shut it down with the frustration, it turns them off. And we have to be able to acknowledge that they have been hurt, they've been left aside, and they are struggling, and they don't want to struggle in front of their women.
While he's going to the next
else?
question,
Yeah,
go ahead and go, because you got to walk.
Go ahead.
Go to the next question. I'm going to be real quick. It is also very frustrating the amount of attention that media writ large is paying to this black men are going to Trump narrative when it is minuscule. And I can also hear the frustration from my brothers who are like, we are actually supporting this sister. Who are y'all all talking to? Yeah, you need to talk to all them white men that are actually could potentially cost us this election. Or the 47% of white women. Y'all get your white sisters, tell them to fall in line. Yes, ma'am.
So, Tamika, you actually kind of answered part of my question, but I'm still going to ask it. And this is really, I'm going to address it to Angela, because you talked about the black agenda earlier. So I want to know your thoughts about this black agenda and what you think it's going to take for Democrats to truly address the economic stripes for black people in this country, because I do believe that that is part of the reason why black men are moving over to the Republican Party, along with the fact that I think they like Trump's bravado. But that's my question. And also, I'm curious, because I know you're from California.
I'm not. I'm from Seattle,
Wait,
Washington,
I'm
the
sorry.
206 all day long.
Okay, sorry, West Coast. I'll take West Coast.
The best coast. I'll take
Best
that.
Okay, I'll give you that. What are your thoughts about the slavery reparations bill in California and Gavin Newsom and other lawmakers killing these two bills? Because obviously this reparations discussion is what everybody, I think, feels is the saving grace of black people. So I'm curious to know about your thoughts with that, too.
I wonder if everybody thinks that way. I'll answer that part briefly. I think that it is a really good example for folks to see that racism is a bipartisan issue. There is not a party in this country that feels that whatever their ancestors did to us, that we are owed anything. And I think that is something else that we need to be very honest about. We might have a preferred party because we can at least, again, have a conversation, but it doesn't mean that we are well taken care of by this party, which brings me to the first part of your question. At some point, I want us to embrace our power enough to be coordinated to push an agenda, to embrace an agenda, not be worried about who's out front of the agenda, and understand that they are not going to just develop this agenda for us. That's something that we have to apply pressure to ensure happens. Every year before the emancipation, our folks met to talk about our collective agenda, which at the time was a lot more simple. It was freedom. It was abolition. And at some point, we stopped having those meetings, many of which took place, again, right down the road in Philadelphia at a very famous AME church. That's where most of those conversations were held since the 1800s. I don't know if we need to go rub up against that building to get some of that anointing, but we need that to understand that we still have an agenda. Most of our agenda items haven't changed since the Congressional Black Caucus went to Richard Nixon with 61 recommendations in 1971.
That's sad.
Most of our agenda items haven't changed from when the very first national, and it's the only, National Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana took place in 1972. We still want D.C. statehood. They're about to give it to us because it's about to be real white real soon. So now it's like, you know what, D.C. should be a state. Chocolate City is giving swirl now. We don't mind if we do. Y'all will get that tomorrow too. But the point is, there is an organization called...
It's a lot of swirl.
It's a lot of swirl. You know what it's giving? It's giving butter pecans without the pecans. It's giving flavor. It's giving flavor without the swirl. But what I was going to say was the Black Futures Lab did some really good work in 2020 and then in 2022 to talk to more than 250,000 Black folks about what we wanted. They ended up doing an agenda that's almost solely Black economic focused. That agenda is out there. Please check it out. Black to the Future Action Fund put out that agenda. I know Tamika did the work to help to get folks to take that census, and so many of our other organizations did the same. We gotta let ego aside and decide that it's not just our vote, it's our taxpayer dollars. We are worthy of an agenda, and every other group in this country pushes an agenda and has a demand, and we are worthy of making a demand. That does not make us rebels, that makes us strategic and smart.
So I want to add on the reparations piece, if I can, really fast. Thank God for the late Congressman John Conyers, and thank God for now our ancestor who was our elder, Sheila Jackson Lee, with H.R. 40. But let me tell you something, and Vice President Kamala Harris talked about this at that NABJ, forum with the Black journalists a minute ago, 2 days ago, I guess. And she said we need to really start getting to the root of things like redlining, okay, that started out in Baltimore, keeping some people in and others out, okay? Racism did not start with what happened in the 60s. It's been since we were brought here. Let's even go back even further than that, when they took this land that's not ours or not theirs from the Native Americans, okay? Let's go there. But here's the deal when it comes to reparations. I'll never forget during Bill Clinton's presidency, second term, he started talking about the racial initiative, the race initiative. Do you guys, my wise in years folks out here, you remember that? He talked, I say wisdom, I don't go by age. Anyway, Bill Clinton started the race initiative, where he realized that we were going to be a nation with a majority that would be minority. We were a nation that was browning what this presidential election really is based on, racism and race, the browning of America. But with that, one of the issues was, how do you deal with the black-white issue? How do you deal with fixing that piece? And then reparations came up. He gave it to the Race Initiative Board. They tabled it because the nation wasn't able to handle it. Then comes George W. Bush. I asked him, I said, sir, will you ever apologize for racism? For slavery. And I asked Trump this racism thing. I asked Bill Clinton, and he said, well, I'm giving it to the race initiative. He came so close to apologizing for slavery in Senegal on Goree Island, but never said, I apologize. Because if he apologized, what does that do? That kicks in the money. It kicks in. So I asked George W. Bush, he said, well, I'm not going to apologize for slavery because Africans participated in it. Okay, so Africans participated, but what about what you did on your side for your ancestors, okay? Then the thought when Barack Obama came was, why should a black man apologize for what the nation did? So I see that, but I also see he could have been the one that helped. And now, when Trump came in, you know he wasn't going to apologize, so why even ask? But now the question is, and as you say, it's a big issue. But during the Clinton years, they were like, well, what does reparations look like? Do we put it in vouchers for like education? Now, let me tell you something, what I want. I want my check. I want my 40 acres and a mule that now is a house in the Potomac and a Maybach. It equates, what is it? Not a wild.
Baltimore.
Stop. No, but I'm saying that's generational wealth. That money goes into generational wealth. Building businesses, putting your child through school, putting a house where you can leverage, buying a house so you can leverage that equity for something that's positive for a family. And now here's the question for us who want to be extra. Well, I'm other. Let me tell you something. I'm a descendant of a slave. I'm not putting other. I'm on my census and everything else. You will never, when they start doling out that money, you will never, I am African American. You can go back all the years of my life. No other in there at all.
April, what's your license plate gonna say? Make your Maybach music. Is it gonna say reparations with a Z?
No, it's gonna say 40 acres. I'm gonna take that and a mule. No, and a Maybach, yeah. 40
That can't go on the license.
Well, 40 acres.
40 acres, okay.
Yeah, they promised us 40 acres. They didn't promise us a mule.
We got another sister over here, and I believe we have a brother over here as well who had his hand up, and then we'll try to get
I'm
you.
so sorry to say, but this is the last question for the evening.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, come
I'm so
on.
sorry.
Last-
We can get her and get the Lex.
So they're just one male, just one male.
We got to get a man. Come on. He needs to air his grievance.
Oh, the mic, honey.
Thank you, sir, for coming up. I'm glad he's coming up. Yes. Or is he just taking a picture?
I think he was taking a picture.
Oh,
April.
I thought he's... Okay. Okay.
So my question goes back to the idea.
I can't hear. Is there a mic on? Here, no, it's not.
No, your mic's not on and he walks away, okay. No. You don't need to be open. Sit down.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, y'all want to come up here?
Oh, she wrote hers down on the phone, so the mic's on now.
Come up here. Come up here, sis. Come up here, sis. I got a mic for you. Yeah. And then the brother.
Is that the brother that's not question?
My brother is sad. No, he's walking the other way.
My
Jason, you have a question?
My question goes back to the idea that our votes needs to be earned. I don't feel like the Black ask or the Black agenda is very clear with Kamala's campaign. And so my question to you all is, with Biden, we asked for a Black VP, we asked for a Black Supreme Justice, and we asked for student loan forgiveness. What do you all feel like, and I know it might be personal, it's personal to everyone, but what do you all feel like those asks should be from the Black?
What do you think they should be?
Well, personally, I believe that there is an agenda for private equity firms to own 100% of single-family homes by 2030. So I definitely believe we need protections for that. I also believe that.
Do you own any homes or?
Yes, I have a multifamily home here, and I have a single-family home in South Carolina.
Come on now, that's wealth. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like this stuff about renting because people are like, it costs too much money. But go ahead.
I also believe that, preserving our right to choose is very important to me, but I understand that I might not resonate with some of the Black male, which is, an area that we need to work.
This is your body.
Yeah, that we need to work
But
on.
so when you said a Black agenda, the two things that you just addressed are already on Kamala's platform on KamalaHarris.com. But I'm curious to know, do you have something that's specific to Black people? Because
No.
it sounded like you were asking us that.
No. My question revolves around, with 47 days left, this is a two-part question. With 47 days left, I don't think her agenda is clear. Like, we had a 3-point bullet where everybody, I was on board because I knew we wanted a Black VP, we wanted Black Supreme Court Justice, we wanted loan forgiveness. I don't think those 3 points come to mind.
Have you been researching it? Have you looked on her?
But also, here's the key distinction. I love that you said Kamala Harris's agenda isn't clear, but with Joe Biden, you said we wanted these things. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to turn around for you is something that's very important. You're, as a taxpayer, as a homeowner, as a Black woman in this country that can demand whatever you want. What are your demands? Because she has an agenda up that addresses some of what you said, but what are your demands? Because that is how we make it clear. Have we made our own asks and demands clear of Kamala Harris? Have they changed from when Joe Biden was at the top of the ticket?
So are your demands economy, housing, and women's health care?
I think those are my personal
Main things.
I
But
think
go to projectfreedom.com. Projectfreedom.com. We have tried to compile a list of things that black folks are talking about across the country, and there is a platform out there that's called projectfreedom.com. It is still being fine-tuned, so when you go up there, if you see things missing, just know that it's being worked on. But there is a web page that has a number of legislative pieces and things that we want Kamala Harris, and not just Kamala Harris, because we have to get Congress to move on all of this stuff. We want them to focus on. So check that out, projectfreedom.com. And I'm willing to give you my email address so we can continue to talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And blacktothefutureactionfund.org also has the agenda they put together based on the respondents from that Black Census that you also support.
Is it Brad?
Thank you so
Black
much,
to the
sis.
Future, Black
All right.
to the Future actionfund.org.
Nice. We'll get the right one. All right, last question.
Good evening, everyone. My question is, how do we address the financial wealth gap between black women and black men, as we've seen in the last 30 years that black women have had more advanced degrees than our black men? And also, once we do win in November, what should be the ask for all of us going forward?
Okay, so see,
blacktothefuture.org.
So let me say this. I think we get hung up. We're so excited and have to get our little room in D.C. for January 20th and sling our mink coats and stuff for the inauguration. Yes, you're gonna be in your in your
I do have my mink coat.
On January 20th, if indeed the stars line up for the 3Ks, KKK. Okay, if it lines up, because I can't say, as a journalist, I cannot be like, it's gonna happen, this, and this. You got a TV, how you not gonna tell?
We live streaming.
Right there. So KKK, if it lines up, Kamala Katanji swearing her in on King Holiday. So here's the deal. What we have to stop doing is getting lulled into this, oh, we got a black person here. Oh, I'm so happy. That's not gonna pay the bills. What you gotta do is hold them accountable, whether they black, white, Jew, Gentile, Protestant, and Catholic. And I'm gonna remind you what LBJ told Dr. King. When it came time, look, black folks had enough with the Civil Rights Act becoming law. And then here you come asking for something else, voting rights. He said, make me do it, because he didn't feel that he had the will. You have to make a politician, whether it's Barack Obama or Kamala Harris, you have to make them see you and act on it. We are a reactionary society. It's not just about going to the polls and voting. You have to still press those in power to do what needs to be done.
How many of you are in an organization? All right, so it's some other folks around here that are not in an organization, not a member of an organization. And I would, under normal circumstances, I would not say this, because I don't believe that everybody has to be in organization in order to fight. But I believe we're going to have to be organized in order to get done what we're trying to do. So you should probably figure out which organization do you at least want to follow and tithe to help them do the work that we've been talking about in this room today.
The Urban League.
And it goes. Well, you know, during the last time, hello?
Hello?
They said good night. They said good night.
Testing.
A quick answer, please. Quick answer.
The last time that it didn't go
I know.
the way we would have preferred, because our way is a very broad statement. A lot of people didn't, the last time it didn't go that way, what we did on the day after Donald Trump was inaugurated was we put 5+ million people on the streets around the world, and we never stopped in the Women's March, outside the Women's March, fighting every single day. I don't think that things change much. I mean, we're going to be up against a different type of animal, for sure. And we're gonna have to protect ourselves differently. We're gonna have to think about our young black boys and girls and all those things. But we are still going to have to fight, because regardless, when April says we're still fighting for the Senate, we still have so many obstacles, governors that are in position around this country who will do their best to uphold white supremacy and to try to oppress our communities. So I don't know why. I hope people do not leave here or any other space thinking that when Kamala Harris wins, we go to sleep. It does not. We do not. We have to fight. Actually, we have to fight with her administration more so we can show enough get some stuff at the end of her presidency. So I think that the answer is we still have to fight no matter who is in the White House, because it's all about who's going to be in our house that we've got to control.
Good answer. All right, we got one more real quick.
Okay, so my question is about organizing, and it's about the black community as a whole. So, you know, you all are on stage and you are very politically educated. You are on talk shows and you do all types of stuff. So you are a certain type of person in the black community. So my question is, how do we bring together other groups? So we have intellects that are pro-black, they're pan-African, they're African-centered, they're all of this. And a lot of them are like, no. They won't even talk about Kamala. They won't even talk about politics because it's not for us, right? And in some ways I agree with that, in some ways I don't. But what I see is this split between very intellectual black people, also very influential black people, because they're a part of different organizations and communities that see things differently. So my question is, from your perspective, you go all across the country, you talk to all different kinds of people, how can we bring together those revolutionary pro-black people, my people, come and talk to you all so that when we see a stage like this, it's you all and them, and we're coming together to work on that black agenda and to organize? What are your suggestions for that?
Great last question.
You know, I love that question because it is really important to remember that black folks are not monolithic. And it is incredibly hard to be a part of a system that you haven't seen work for you, that it hasn't worked for you more often than not. What I can tell you is I would have never imagined when I left Capitol Hill at the beginning of 2013 how much of our rights would be literally rolled back. That's pretty much what happened, but rolled back just because they were pissed that there was a black man who became president. I hadn't realized until the other day that Shelby County versus Holder voting rights decision actually began when President Obama was like right on the other side of that first election, but it took a while to make its way through the Supreme Court. They will roll back our voting rights. So you won't have a choice about whether or not to sit out an election. You ain't gonna be able to vote, right? When we think about how much they will be in our wombs, and then after black women are forced to have babies, they won't even take care of you in the birthing room to ensure that you can survive to see another day. And then when your child is here, they don't wanna ensure that you have for those of us who are lower income, because everybody isn't doing well, they don't want to ensure that you have the resources to be able to feed that baby that they forced you to have under this no more abortion plan they have under Dobbs. But ain't nobody touching they Viagra, but I digress.
Nobody's messing with a man's body parts, but they
very,
always got ours up
because we're still
discussion.
chattel. But we're still chattel. And so the thing that I would dare us to do is to become involved in a system, be so clear about what it is. And this, you and I talked about the Jill Stein interview earlier. I hate a wish agenda that doesn't have any real means for how you get to the end goal that you're throwing over. Like, I want reparations now too. She want a Maybach, I'll have a Lamborghini, whatever it is. You know, I want to see all kids be able to go to school and be educated freely. I want a free breakfast program like the Panthers used to do. There's all kinds of things that I want. But I am very clear about the fact that if there aren't people in office to push that agenda, we will never get it. I am even for having a whole new system. What are our plans? What are our plans to ensure the whole new system starts? We talk about it. We talk a really good game. I'll be right there with y'all. But at the end of the day, this is what we have. We got to understand this game, play this game so we can change the game. That is the only way. And if they got another idea, I want to hear it from the revolutionaries. All power to the people at all times. I want to hear it. But I am down to organize with what we have. And I'm also down to talk about where we go from here.
So let me say this really fast. I think you need to find like-minded people, number one. And every like-minded person is not always going to be on the same agenda, but the goal is going to be the ultimate goal. But I want to speak on two things real quick that Angela said. We are now voting without the full protections of the Voting Rights Act. And I'm telling you, they're going after you at the polls. They are going after you now. They're trying to slip everything up. So just be very aware. Make sure you know your polling place. Make sure you talk to those who are monitoring the polls if you have any kind of irregularity. That doesn't have anything to do with the organizing. But Angela brought up Shelby v. Holder. That was the beginning of the tearing down of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And we're now in the post-affirmative action era. And then also, when these organizations get together, they knock a mighty blow. You said you wanted to see the federal government pay for kids to eat. They are, because in 1968, who was it? The Black Panther Party came together. 70% women came together to make sure they fed those babies. Now the federal government's doing it. Also, they talked about sickle cell. Now the federal government's trying to deal with sickle cell. Also, what else did they do back then? Oh, they right to bear arms. Oh my God, they were open carry when open carry wasn't a thing, but everybody else is open carry now. We can't be open carry. So, but think about what Kamala says she got a gun. That's right. I was like, come on now. I've shot a gun, but but that's a whole nother thing. But let me tell you something. When like-minded people come together, they can change a nation. And they say that Black Panther Party was not patriotic. They were more patriotic and democratic than anybody. I'm telling you. So look for those like-minded people. The Black Panther Party was 70% women. Women. We are powerful. And my men, y'all stood with those looking good in those black caps, in black leather jackets, yes. And the guns, and I'm married, okay? So, but I just recognize.
All right, we're wrapping up. Well, can y'all do me a favor and just give a round of applause? Come on, we can do better than that. Round of applause to our panelists. April Ryan, Angela Ryan, Tamika Mallory. Woo!
Thank you so much for coming out. One more round of applause for April Ryan, Angela Rye, and Tamika Mallory. Powerful discussion, powerful. So we will now have our book signing with Tamika Mallory. All right.
We stayed extra hour.
I know.
Okay.
So you got to sign it.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. April. Great. She needs to replace you. You don't even know how my heart is. I love you. And with you. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Love y'all. God bless you and your family. Y'all travel safely.
I was watching your interview again the other day because I don't know that I ever even watched. I was so in the moment and I was watching it. I'm just proud of all of y'all.
I got it. Okay. Going over here, yeah. And you're the reason why I got involved in social action. Okay.